I'm David Peters, and today is January 7th, 2010. I'm visiting with John Harrell at his home in Ardmore, Oklahoma. This interview is for the O State Stories program of the Oklahoma Oral Histories Project. Mr. Harrell is only one of a handful of wrestlers across the United States to ever have won an NCAA wrestling championship and represented the United States in wrestling events held in Europe. Before we talk about your wrestling experiences, I would like to ask some questions about your early life. Can you share with me some information about your family, your growing up, where you grew up, and activities you were involved with?
Well, I was a native here of Ardmore. I grew up here in Ardmore. I went to Ardmore High School and Ardmore schools, and I married a girl, Jean McDaniel. We had 3 children, had 2 girls and 1 boy. They are living a long ways away, so I don't see them anymore. My wife passed away 10 years ago, and so I have just sort of stayed around here and wait until I get called on to go on. My life here in Ardmore was is different. When I started out after graduation in high school, I found a job, summer job, and that was a pretty nice little thing because they gave me all I could eat along with a couple of dollars a week pay, and that was pretty good.
What did you do?
I was a lifeguard at Cedarvale, a little swimming hole up here in the Arbuckles. So then I went to school at Stillwater to Oklahoma A&M. I stayed there then through the freshman year, and during the summer of it would be summer of '37, I was able to secure a job in the oil field, which was a little bit better pay, even though it was, by today's standard, it was peanuts. But I stayed there throughout the first semester of that year and stacked enough money away then to pay my tuition and a fraternity fees for the whole semester when I went back to Stillwater.
Well, before you went to Stillwater, in high school, had you participated in any athletics?
I was wrestling only.
Wrestling only?
Well, I did go out for the football team, but we didn't have enough of a football team to mention it.
Who was your wrestling coach in high school?
His name was Leighton Petty. He went to Oklahoma A&M and wrestled under Gallagher, but he had to compete with Leroy McGurk. And of course, if you're a wrestling person, you know to compete with Leroy McGurk didn't bring too many first choices to you.
Right.
Anyway, Leighton learned the wrestling. He loved it, and he'd do anything in the world to get a team started here. And he almost lost his job. He was so persistent in trying to get the school board to okay a wrestling program for Ardmore High School, which we had not ever had before. We started in a classroom which had been vacant in what they call a middle school. Now it was junior high school, a vacant room. We went to the armory and salvaged some cots, some bedrolls, mats, put them all together, and that's what we used for practice mats. And we would go there each afternoon after school was over and try to learn to wrestle. And I think most of we just had a good time. It's kind of like what we were doing back when we were toddlers, to wrestle around a little bit and that sort of thing. We didn't learn a lot, but we learned as much as anybody else. So I guess it worked out all right since I was able to make it to the state tournament and win that tournament. at heavyweight.
Is this your senior year or?
Yes, a senior
Senior.
in high school. So from there, of course, I never thought of going anywhere else to college except to Oklahoma A&M to be coached by Coach Gallagher. And that also turned out to be a wise decision because everything that I have accomplished in my whole career, I have to look back and focus on how it came about, and it was because of what I was doing with the wrestling program. And that opened a lot of doors, and it taught me a lot of things about not growing up, not what we had to do in life. And so as far as what I did with wrestling, I coached a little bit when I came back out of the service at the YMCA team with some young boys, ages 10 through 12. And we had a lot of fun and coached some pretty good wrestlers. It turned out good. But that was my experience with the wrestling program. And because of the wrestling, I was able to make the United States team that went to Europe in 1938, and along with some of my other members of Oklahoma A&M wrestling team, won that tournament, and I won my first place at 191 pounds. That was another plus, because when we returned from that trip, we stopped by Annapolis to see our old friend, Coach Raymond Swartz. And we were not aware of what Raymond was trying to do. He was a manipulator, and he wanted to put us up in the finest places available there at the Naval Academy, and he did. Bachelor quarters over in the boathouse where they had the racing shells. And we enjoyed that and watched everything about the Naval Academy. And that was with Stanley Henson and Joe McDaniel and myself. Let's see, who else was in the car with us? Anyway, we actually had three of us, Joe and Stanley and myself. And while we were there, we stayed 2 days and 2 nights. I guess stayed 3 nights. And Ray Swartz would, one by one, he would take us, the three of us, aside and quiz us about what our plans are and how old we were, mainly. And it turned out I was the only one that was young enough to get qualify for an appointment to the Naval Academy. So Ray Swartz then went to the football recruiting man, and he told him that he had a fellow down here at Stillwater at the Oklahoma A&M who was an All-American. The only problem was we didn't get the press and some of the others out, and that I would make him a fine football player. It turned out I had not any experience with football. And when I got to the dressing room there at the Naval Academy, I didn't know how to put the uniform on. And of course, with that, I got a lot of ha-has. But it turned out all right. I finally made the team. But I only had 1 year of wrestling left then for qualifications. The 4 years, I'd already used up 3 of them. So, well, actually 2 of them, because you only had 3. You couldn't, freshman year didn't count. So I wrestled that 1 year, and that was the end of my wrestling at the Naval Academy. And then, from then on, I put in my time in the service and then came back here to Ardmore and joined my father-in-law in the business of the Coca-Cola bottling company here. So that's how I happened to be in Coca-Cola. He had three daughters. My wife's father had three daughters and no sons, and he more or less adopted me when we were married to Jean, and he was getting along in years, and he said, "We need somebody in the family to run this business for the family after I'm unable to do it anymore." He says, when you get out of the Navy, when you're released from the Navy, why, you come on back to Ardmore and we'll break you in here and let you find out. So that's what I did, and I resigned my commission.
When was that?
That was in 47.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I came back to Ardmore then and put in my career in the bottling business.
Well, let's go back a little bit.
Yeah, go ahead.
Cover a few more things
I'm
here.
diversity here.
No, you're doing fine. So you graduated from high school in what year?
1936.
36.
Uh-huh.
And then you started at OAMC then when?
The fall of 1936.
Fall of 36.
Uh-huh.
Okay. You couldn't wrestle your freshman year at all at OSU or OAMC.
Yeah,
You
we
could
had
wrestle?
a freshman team.
Oh, you had a freshman team. Okay.
Uh-huh.
So you
Matter
did.
of fact, I won the what do they call it? The Pan American Invitational at heavyweight while I was still a freshman.
So now, how did you compete? Well, first, let me back up a little bit. So when you arrive in Stillwater, you just how did you make the connection then with the wrestling team? Did you try out?
Yes.
Okay.
Sure.
How did that happen? Was there a tournament or?
No. You just wanted told them you wanted to try to wrestle, and so they put you out there and you tried to wrestle. And if you stayed, I guess they had some way to figure out whether or not to keep you, but they kept me, and I was making their freshman team as a heavyweight. I was light, of course, for the heavyweights of that time.
What did you weigh then?
I weighed about 190.
Okay.
And most of them were weighing 230 to 240. That was giving away a lot of weight. But anyway, I did make the freshman team, and from then on I was allowed to be a member of the squad.
Could you compete at the AAU meets
As a freshman?
as a freshman?
I suppose so, but I don't think we sent anybody to the AAU meets at that time.
Okay.
The only AAU time that I had recall was in 1938, and we went to I can't remember the town we went to. Somewhere in Pennsylvania, they held the AAU tournament.
Maybe in Lehigh or?
Well, it might have been Lehigh, it might have been Penn State, but I cannot recall exactly where it was.
Okay.
That we went. Might have been Franklin Marshall College.
I think you're right. I think you might be
I
right.
think that might have been where it was. Anyway, that no, that's wrong too. That AAU meet was, if you'll let me have my notes there for a moment, I think I'll
Sure.
show it to you. It's in here.
I think that's my notes.
That's yours?
But, yeah.
Okay, here's mine here.
Right.
All right. Well, we were trying to figure out where that tournament was held, and
But you think
Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, is that?
that's
That's probably where it was.
but you think it was in? You're pretty sure it was in Pennsylvania.
Yes,
and-
that's where the
Okay.
AAU tournament was, and I participated in that. And
Is that when-
Chiga was also there as heavyweight, and I was there at the 191 pounds. Made a spot for both of us. Pretty good.
worked out. You submitted the Pan American Games when you were a freshman.
Yeah, that was in Dallas.
That was in Dallas.
Uh-huh.
How many wrestlers from this area went to that one? Do you remember?
Just the same I've been talking about.
Same.
Be Stanley Henson and Joe McDaniel and George Chiga. And I don't know if Chiga could make it or not, because I think we had to get our own transportation. It wasn't something that the school organized. We had to get to Dallas on our own.
So you really represented yourselves then. rather
Yeah,
than the
we
school.
were in it. We were there as a member of the Oklahoma A&M College, but we didn't have anybody to pick up the tab.
Right. So how did you pay for the tab? Who covered the expenses?
Well, I don't know. Somehow or another we got that allowed, but of course that is a little bit foggy. All I do is remember having a good time there, and
Well, and you and wasn't Henson also a freshman? And McDaniel?
no, they were both ahead of me.
Oh, they were. So they were sophomores by then.
I believe they're 2 years ahead of me.
2 years.
Yeah, they might have been juniors then.
Okay.
Whatever it was, I never thought about what. I just know that they'd been there before I got there. In fact, Stanley gave me more coaching, I guess, individually than anybody in the whole squad. I wrestled with some of the other fellows quite often to go out for the workouts, but Stanley kind of took me over his protege and taught me a whole lot about the way I should handle myself. And I owe him a lot.
Stanley Henson. When you arrived on campus, where did you live?
I lived with the agriculture professor. His name was Thompson. I got a room with him.
Was it Hog Thompson or
Hog
Chicken
Thompson.
Hog Thompson. Okay.
And then I pledged the SAE fraternity and lived in that fraternity house the second year after I went back in the fall of 1937. I went over there and pledged them, and of course I didn't attend the fall semester. It was the spring semester of 30. I guess the spring semester of 37, 36, 37, 30. The spring semester of 38. Then I started living at the fraternity house.
Okay.
So dates and times are like the wind; they're foggy.
You're doing pretty good. You're doing pretty good. Had you ever been to Stillwater before you arrived to go to college? Had you ever visited?
Well, my dad had taken me there to see it before we enrolled.
So you'd been on campus and
well, I knew where the town was.
where the town was.
Yeah,
Okay. What was your major?
I was in not electrical, but in engineering school.
Engineering.
And I had gotten into a major exactly at that time, but I was interested in aviation engineering, and of course my schooling was interrupted quite a bit. So the time I got to left Oklahoma A&M and went to Annapolis, that was we only had one degree for the the midshipman, and that was electrical engineering. So that was what I got my degree in.
Great, electrical engineering. Do you remember any of your instructors from your years at A&M? Do you remember any of the faculty?
Well, I remember a lot of them, but I don't remember names.
Names?
No.
Okay. Do you remember any kind of classes you enjoyed more than others, or?
Well, we had a physics teacher that I wish I could remember his name, but he was a very good academician, I guess. He knew what he was talking about, but he was very strict. And he was trying to tell us how to split the atom. And we were supposed to learn how to, and I don't remember what I scored in that particular course, but I can remember him trying to teach us how to split the atom and make the bomb. We didn't know it was a bomb at that time. We just knew they released a lot of energy. And we never used the word bomb, because we weren't at war. Nobody knew about war at that time. And we're that close in that little physics class to going being historians.
And that was in the late 30s.
Yeah.
Well before the war.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Do you remember any of the buildings on campus? Theta Pond, any special places?
Murray Hall, Theta Pond, sure, knew all of that, and the gymnasium, which was the Armory. That's what was it? It was not the fire station at that time. What was that building that looked like a fire station? It was one of the first buildings that was built.
Old Williams Hall? Or
something else. And I'm sorry, I can't remember that, but I remembered it at the time.
Did it have? Can you describe it at all to me, or was it near Theta Pond, or where?
No,
was
it was
over by Old Central.
No, I'm trying to remember the streets there that the campus was faced on. I think it wasn't 3rd Avenue. What was it?
College or University Avenue was
Yeah.
on the south side of campus.
Yeah. All right. Then it made a right turn and went north.
Well, there was Knobloch was on the east side.
Knobloch
is on the east side.
Well, all right. Then that building we're talking about was almost on that corner where the east-west road and the north-south road intersected. That's where this building was.
Mm-hmm.
I think we called it Old Central.
Okay, well, Old Central is in that area.
Yeah.
And there was an old library, old biology building, and
Right.
And let's see. Did you have to work while you were in college? What kind of jobs did you have during your college years?
I didn't have a job.
Didn't have one.
No, I didn't have a job.
But now these semesters where you weren't in school, what were you doing then?
When I was not in
When you were not in school?
I worked for the Gulf Oil Company in the Hilton field out here. It was near Fox. And they would put me on, when I first got the job there and went back to school, they told me to finish my education. They wanted me to be a petroleum engineer, come back, and they would guarantee me employment. And I thought that was as good as I could get. So that's what I tried to do, is be a petroleum engineer. But somehow or another, petroleum never got into the engineering part of my curriculum.
Okay. So you'd work then for them, save your money?
Save my money.
And then
learned a little bit about saving money then.
And then head to Stillwater.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you remember any favorite hangouts, student hangouts when you were in college? Places where
I was
students
so broke, I didn't know having to hang out. I didn't have any way to hang out.
Okay.
I would I would play chess with my roommate, who was a fellow student from Ardmore here, and we both played in the band.
What was his name?
His name was Rocket.
Rocket?
His name was Louis Rocket.
Louis Rocket. Okay.
An excellent musician.
And what instruments did you play?
I was a drummer.
Drummer? And what did he play?
Well, he played the cornet.
Okay.
And
what was the name of your band? Did you have a name, or you just?
Oh, this was Stillwater's college band.
Oh, okay, the university. Okay,
Yeah.
the college band. All right.
Yeah.
So what? So had you been a drummer in high school?
Yeah.
Okay. And what did you perform then at halftimes of football games, or what events would the band play for?
Sure, played for the football games.
Okay.
But I, of course, wasn't there after the freshman year for any of things like football games. I wasn't in. I didn't go to school at that time in the fall.
So were there band? So when would you play with the band then? Were there concerts or?
Yeah, concerts.
Okay.
Practice with them every 3 times a week, something like that. We get up at 7 o'clock. Go over and
Was Bo McCoskey the director?
he surely was.
What do you remember about Bo?
Eccentric. About the only word I can say is about Bo McCoskey. And I don't know why he put up with me, because I wasn't a drummer. I was a thumper. And but anyway, he thought I was doing okay, so he allowed me to stay.
Did you get any credits for being in the band?
Academic credits?
Academic credits?
No, no, that was extracurricular.
Okay. So were most band members just doing it for fun, or?
Yeah,
or-
sure.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
At 7 o'clock in the morning.
Because Bo
practice?
Makowski was a very well-known instructor, a musician and bandman, and he was supposed to learn something, which I did. I think I learned a lot from being with Makowski. But he was a man that you admired, but you really didn't want to be like him.
Okay. Well, you had the distinction of wrestling for Coach Gallagher
Right.
during the very end of his career, as his career was
sure.
winding down. When you said you showed up and said you wanted to try out for the wrestling team, did you talk to Coach Gallagher about trying out, or who did you talk with?
If I remember, it wasn't any talking. It was just an open session, and that you were invited if you wanted to wrestle, come up to the wrestling loft and present yourself and what you could do. And of course, I had that high school championship to present, and of course that was good enough to get me on the team, get me to work out.
Where was the wrestling loft?
Was the Ardmore building.
Okay.
It was in the basketball court. That's where the
So on the
workout
second level there, then, where the basketball court was.
I think it was, well, not the second level, but it's the main level.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You had to go upstairs, I think, to get to
Right.
that level.
Mm-hmm.
That was the main level. So were there mats then laid out?
Yeah, we had some bats.
Okay. So when did you wrestle in the rings? Only for
I don't think we ever had a ring.
never had a ring? Okay.
I don't recall ever wrestling in a ring while I was in college.
Okay. So by then they had already, you think they were already wrestling on mats?
Yeah.
Rather than because earlier on they had used the ring with the ropes.
Now, if we went to places like Central, Oklahoma Central University, which was in Edmond, I think they had a ring that we wrestled in. But at Stillwater, we didn't have a ring.
Okay.
It was just a mat.
So when did you first meet Coach Gallagher?
Well, I met him in the fall of '36.
Okay.
First time.
Okay.
But those are memories that I have no recollection about to pass along.
Okay, that's fine. Were there certain characteristics that you think Coach Gallagher was looking for in wrestlers?
Well, I don't know. I had, of course, Raymond Schwartz was the assistant coach, and he pretty well handled all of us newcomers. And no, I don't know that he was looking for anything in particular.
So Raymond was the freshman coach.
Yeah.
Then when you tried out.
Sure.
Okay. Were there other assistant coaches?
No, I think there's only one.
Okay. So did then older wrestlers work with you?
Eventually, yeah, we got
eventually.
to where we'd work around with those people like that were there, and other freshmen. We would get squared off and wrestle with one another and try to learn how to do the various things that we need to do. One takedown that you could do on anybody, one escape that you could do, and one ride. That's all right. If you found something that you could maybe do while you worked on it, and try to do that so that it would work on anybody. And that was the philosophy we had.
So how many years then did you wrestle at Oklahoma A&M?
I wrestled 2 years, and then I had 1 year left when I went to the Naval Academy.
Okay. For training, you say you learn moves with other wrestlers.
Yes.
Now, what did you do for conditioning?
Road work.
Road work.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of road work would you do? How much would you do?
5 miles.
Daily?
Uh-huh. Yeah. Sometimes it'd be a little dark when you got in, but this is what we did.
Would you do that year round or just during the season?
Well, we got to where we do it year round, whether we just got to where we like to do the road work.
Okay.
And I even did that after I came home. So, yeah, road work was part of my ethic. Whatever I did, I liked to go out, and once I got down to where it wasn't 5 miles, it was 2 miles. Then, of course, in the last five years, it's got down to where I walk.
But you still do some.
No, I can't do anything
can't
right
do
now.
it. Okay.
I'm pretty much.
But until then, you still
Yeah.
did. Still
Right.
did. Yeah. Well, wasn't that common for most of the wrestlers to really do work year round, whether road work?
I kind of think it was. I believe it was. I didn't quiz anybody, know about it, but you didn't have people that you ran with. You just got out, and if you had a mile track to run on, why you'd run around that track. If you didn't have, why you'd go out on the highway somewhere until you got far enough out and turn around and come back. In high school, why we'd run on the railroad track. That was an easy place to be out of sight, so you'd do that. But in Stillwater, we did quite a lot of laps around the gymnasium. Take about 50 laps around the unit.
Yeah, that last level had a track. And so you'd run there.
Right.
All right. And you'd usually run alone.
Well, yeah.
Or sometimes with people. It was.
Well, there'd be other people, but you weren't really side by side.
Right.
At all.
Did you like to run in the mornings or evenings, or any time you could?
Well, we always did it in the evenings until later on. After my school was over, I would run in mornings.
Mornings.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. When you arrived in Stillwater, Coach Gallagher already had Parkinson's disease.
Yes.
Can you kind of describe his physical condition during the time you knew him?
All I know was the way his hand was wobbling all the time, and you'd shake his hand, and you didn't have to shake it up and down because his hand was wobbling all the time. Well, I was amazed that he could do what he was doing with that Parkinson's disease. He was a very intelligent man, and to be able to put in print everything that he wanted to portray as a wrestler was, to me, was amazing, because he wasn't able to wrestle. In fact, I don't think he ever did wrestle.
No, never wrestled in college. Did he have trouble walking from place to place, or did it mostly affect his
Well, he'd
hands?
shake it. He wasn't spry at all. He could walk, but he was kind of like I am right now without a cane. I can wobble around, but I can't walk very far. But Coach Gallagher didn't walk very far.
Would he ever talk to the group of boys together?
I don't remember they ever had a group meeting
Okay.
that I attended. I sure don't.
But he would talk to individual boys then before a match, or
Like I say, the only time that he ever did talk to me was after that fiasco I had was being unable to break that crossbody ride.
well, tell us that story again if you don't
Okay,
mind.
well, this crossbody ride was an experience that I had not run across, and I was wrestling with Waddy Young from the University of Oklahoma, and Waddy was able to put the crossbody ride, and I was not able. I didn't know how it was, and I didn't know how to break it, and as a consequence, he had about 3 minutes of riding time because of that crossbody ride, which allowed him to have the winning margin in time, and he won the match. But after the next week, when we came out to the workout room, the coach got me aside and he told me that this is the way you do to break the crossbody ride. And I guess he worked with me for 30, 40 minutes, just one-on-one, letting me know exactly where I should move and how to move. And then he came along and said, "Now, young man, it's no disgrace to crawl off the mat one time." So I learned a lesson there. I thought it was against the rules to crawl off the mat at any time, but apparently that was accepted in the way of the rules. It allowed you to do that without penalty. But
So-
I wasn't smart enough to know it.
But he did work with you that one time then when he saw you'd been unable to break that
Yes,
hold.
he did. And as a matter of fact, I got to where I was baiting my opponents to put it on me, because once they got that on me, I could break that hold and come out into a pin hold. And I was able to make a lot of falls that way by breaking that crossbody ride and coming around into a pitting situation on my opponent. And I guess it balanced out the good and the bad.
So you said you normally wrestled heavyweight,
Yes, except for the AAU.
except for the AAU, and then you wrestled at 191. Was that the weight?
Yes, I think that's 87 kilos or something like that.
Okay. But Gallagher never asked you to drop weight to a lower,
Never.
like 175 or anything like
Never
that, did he?
Uh-uh.
Did he? Do you ever know if him asking any wrestlers to drop a lot of weight?
Oh,
or
gosh, yeah, a lot of guys pull weight.
they
A
did?
lot of them, yeah. And I just don't know what my philosophy was about that, but I seemed like that I just disapprove of people having to pull weight. Certainly for high school, where the young men were still on their growing capabilities, and then the coaches wanted you to drop your weight, pull weight down your, contrary to what nature was trying to do. That was something I had to get over too, but I didn't allow my boys to pull any weight. So if you can handle the weight that you're in, fine. If you want to pull it, try something else, that's your own business. I'm not going to make you do that, and I don't approve of it. And of course, the parents they were all for me. They didn't want their young men to start starving when they should be eating more and
That's right.
growing bigger.
Did Coach Gallagher ever talk about nutrition or hydration or anything like that?
To my knowledge, he never did.
Okay, but some of that's in his book, though.
Oh yeah,
where he talks about, those
sure.
kinds of things. So, okay. You say Ray Schwartz was his assistant during the time you were there. Any other assistants that you remember?
I don't think there was any more.
Okay.
I don't recall one.
I think Joe McDaniel may have assisted him in 1940.
Well,
but by then
I was gone.
You were gone on to the Naval Academy.
Right.
So, why do you think Coach Gallagher's wrestlers performed so well?
It's like I told you a little bit earlier in our conversation. He had formed a dynasty of wrestling, and he had his graduates from the Oklahoma A&M College who wrestled with him, going there as wrestling coaches. And those coaches were feeding him wrestlers who had already been briefed in the way he taught wrestling. So I think that's one of the really stars to put on his crown to show why he had such great success. Because he didn't have to teach them all over again.
So his earliest wrestling teams, those young men went out to be coaches in high schools,
Right.
Like your coach had been,
Right.
and mostly in Oklahoma, or
Oh yeah, he had Ponca City, and he had gosh, how many places did he have that were ex-wrestlers?
ex-wrestlers.
I think he had at least a dozen in high schools here in Oklahoma.
Because wrestling was still relatively new in Oklahoma. You
Well,
said
of course
like in
it was.
Ardmore,
They were everywhere.
it was
Texas didn't even have wrestling anywhere. Texas schools and colleges had no wrestling at all, and they had a few places like YMCA's that had started teaching wrestling, but there were very few. We invaded Texas from our YMCA here when I started coaching here, and we went down to Wichita Falls and went to Dallas, and we went to Gainesville, and we would present them with a program to their YMCA boys and directors on what you could do with wrestling. And sure enough, they few of them began to pick it up, and we would have home and home matches with them before I quit. I did that for about 4 years.
So that was in the late 40s then, or
Yeah.
yeah. So that's another decade later, and then they're still getting started in Texas. So.
Yeah,
Okay.
but it was not part of their program at all.
Yeah, you mentioned. Well, do you have anything that you remember most about Coach Gallagher? Is anything in particular, or any stories about Coach Gallagher that you can?
I'm sorry to tell you, I don't have those stories.
That's fine. What about that old gym? What was it like? The first gymnasium.
Box. Yeah, but we thought it was wonderful.
No air conditioning.
Heavens no. I don't think it was air conditioning even available anywhere.
Not on campus.
Well, in homes.
No.
Yeah.
No. So you said it was small. Were there large crowds when there were wrestling events?
Well, yeah, it didn't take too many people to fill it up. Yeah, we'd have crowds. It was popular.
Now the locker rooms were there. Everything was there in that building. What?
We would go down and check out a wrestling suit with maybe some old dirty socks or something, and then we'd turn him back in. We didn't have to put him in locker because they'd send him to the laundry every time we'd have a match, and then you would keep a separate set of wrestling togs to work out in. It was pretty much of a. I don't know, we didn't have a whole lot of money to spare, and we didn't need it. Really didn't.
What was the atmosphere? What, like when they did wrestle? Let's say you were wrestling OU or somebody. What was the atmosphere like in that old gymnasium? Were crowds pretty respectful? Were they?
Yeah, of course they were. They were like they still are now. It was bedlam. Anytime you went against the University of Oklahoma, didn't matter what your sport you were. Why, you were supposed to be aware that that home team was going to be cheering for you, and if you went to the other school, why, you expected it wouldn't be too popular.
Mm-hmm. Would they boo at all?
Oh yeah,
No.
sure.
So, all right. Well, so they built a new gymnasium, now known as Gallagher Iba Arena, but it was Gallagher Hall.
Well, I think according to this, it wasn't even called Gallagher Hall.
Well, it was the 4-H convention building, I think.
It was something. Yeah, it was convention.
It was
Field House. That's what.
the field house.
Field House.
It was built for the 4-H for him to have meetings,
Right.
but everyone called it Gallagher Hall almost immediately after it was completed.
Gallagher Island. And,
Did you wrestle that match February of '39? That first match in Gallagher?
I think so. Sure did.
Do you remember anything about that match at
I
all?
don't remember a thing about it except it was so awesome. I didn't know where I was.
Well, Joe McDaniel was the lightest fellow on the team,
Yeah.
and he wrestled first. He was the first fellow to wrestle and win there. Did they wrestle in weight order? Were you the last to wrestle then as heavyweight?
Right.
Okay. So, do you remember when Coach Gallagher died?
No, I don't. I don't remember that at all.
Because that was the following year, and by then you were at the Naval Academy,
Right.
so you didn't attend the funeral or come back then. for
No.
that. Okay. When the team would travel as the wrestling team when you were in college, would they travel by train, by car? How would they get to other meets?
Coach Gallagher had a car, Ray Schwartz had a car, and they'd fill those cars up. They were just old touring sedans, and that's where we'd go by just riding in somebody's vehicle.
Would Gallagher still drive with his Parkinson's, or do you know if someone else would
Somebody had
drive?
to drive.
Okay. Because I know he had a car, but I don't know if he drove.
No, he had a car, but I think Schwartz drove it for him most of the time.
Okay.
But others would also drive. But we would have volunteer vehicles that would take us to the matches away from Stillwater.
Did you have any matches where you had to spend the night away from town?
Well, at the tournaments.
Tournaments?
Sure.
And where would you stay at times like that?
I had hotels.
Hotels? And those were arranged by the coach or by the
school.
By the school?
Athletic department.
Okay. Do you have any per diem for meals, or how would you?
I don't know how they handle that at all, because I was one of the few guys that could eat everything in sight and would. And when we'd sit down to eat, everybody else was picking around, didn't want to get overweight before the weigh-in. And I was gobbling up their plate and my plate, and just like a big fat pig. So I had a lot of flack about how much I was eating. In fact, my dad said, "Well, if they can feed him, why, they're allowed to go broke." So that was sort of funny about how much I was eating.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when it came for weigh-in, did you even have to weigh in at all, or you just said heavyweight?
Heavyweight, or if they wanted to know exactly how much I weigh, why, yeah, I'd get on the scale, but not necessarily.
Did you have a nickname? Did anyone give you a nickname?
Never did get a nickname.
Never got a nickname.
Never did.
Okay.
Sure did.
There was a couple of heavyweights they called Butterball.
Well,
but
somebody has to be around to give you those nicknames, and Somehow or other, they never gave me one,
Never-
even in high school.
Okay. Earl McCready, your former heavyweight, was Moose. His nickname
Yeah.
was Moose.
Right.
And so never got a nickname. Well, that's okay, probably.
Well, I didn't miss
need
it.
one. Yeah. Okay. What other wrestlers do you remember working with? You've mentioned Stanley Henson, Joe McDaniel, other wrestlers, George Chiga you mentioned.
Yeah.
Who were some of the other wrestlers that you either worked with or were on the team that you remember?
No, that's kind of blank.
Okay. Lloyd Ricks was a little before your time.
Yeah.
But he may have been there when you were a freshman. I'm not sure.
I joined the fraternity where he was at.
As Sigma Alpha Epsilon. Okay.
And I got to know Lloyd pretty well.
Okay. Were there other? Stanley was a member of the Sigma Chi
Sigma
House,
Chi,
and Joe McDaniel was a Sigma Chi.
Right.
Were there?
Doc Strong.
Was he a Sigma Chi also?
He was Sigma Chi.
Okay.
Frank Lewis.
Sigma Chi.
Sigma Chi.
Yeah. And then you said that SAEs had several wrestlers. Did other fraternities have guys that were on the team too? Do you remember? Or
I don't know if Freddie Parker was affiliated with one of the fraternities or not, but if he does, I don't remember it.
Okay.
But most of the wrestlers went to the Sigma Chi House.
Sigma Chi House. Okay. All right. Well, in 1938, you were part of the Goodwill Tour, representing the United States in Europe.
Right.
How did you qualify for that event?
When we won the National AAU tournament, and I won the 991-pound weight at that time, and qualified for the. When this thing came along to go to Europe, it was an invitational from the Swedish and German governments to get the United States team of wrestlers and freestyle to come and have a tournament so that they could brief themselves on the way that we wrestled so that they could improve their status at the Olympics. And that's what this thing was all about. And the Olympic Committee didn't have a team at that time because they didn't have any Olympic tryouts. And so they just took the winners of the AAU tournament as America's team. And of course, that was another fortunate thing for me to be there at the right place at the right time.
No hesitation in going. You were gonna.
Gosh, I loved it. Yeah.
You had.
They put us in jail and we over. Yeah, I believe it was in Frankfurt. The whole team got thrown in jail because we bought a BB gun and was shooting sparrows out the window of the hotel. And of course, those Nazi people, they didn't like that. They sent the Gestapo over there and threw us in jail.
Well, now several other of your college wrestling teammates were on that team. Who else from OSU was on that team?
Well, just Stanley and Joe and myself.
So you were the three?
Okay. And Stanley here injured his shoulder, and he had to be replaced. And who was it? Dale? Somebody.
Was it Dale Scrivens?
Scrivens. Dale replaced Stanley as a member of the team, and that was all.
So how did you travel to Europe?
We went to New York City in my dad's automobile. He lent us his automobile, and we went to New York City, and we caught the.
Were Joe and Stanley traveling with you then?
Stanley had to do the driving. I wasn't qualified to drive that thing up there.
So Stanley's driving your dad's car.
Yeah.
And Joe's with you. Okay.
And that's the reason we stopped by Annapolis on the way home because it was on the road. But we went on the Swedish ship Kungsholm to Stockholm.
Okay. We're gonna have to take a break here in a little bit so we can change the
Sure.
tape. If you're doing all right.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're on you go to Stockholm first.
Yes.
Okay.
And that was the main event. And after that, we went to Berlin, and then we went from Berlin to Stuttgart, and I guess that was the only wrestling cities we went to. Well, after we had wrestled in Stockholm, the team broke up, and we went visiting. I went to one town, and somebody else went to another town, and so forth, to put on exhibition. And I don't remember the name of the town once where I went to, but it was overnight from Stockholm. They put us on a train, and we went to where it was we went.
Would you have an interpreter with you, or?
Gosh, no.
No?
No. Wave your hands. I got the same problem when I got to Japan. I couldn't do any good over there. But somehow or another, you could make people know what you wanted and what you don't want.
So they just send you out to a town. The town knew you were coming.
Mm-hmm.
You'd show up and
right, and they would take us to the gymnasium or where it was we were going to work out and prepare us for the match we were going to have, and then they would farm us out to some of the residences there to spend the night.
And they'd feed you and
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that was from Stockholm. You would do that.
Did that one time.
One time.
After the tournament in Stockholm.
Okay. And then you went to Berlin next.
Went to Berlin. That's right.
Now, when did Stanley his shoulder separation? It was fairly severe. Was that at Berlin?
That was
do you think,
before we had the Stockholm. He wasn't
really?
able to participate in that. Well, he did participate, but he was wrestling with one shoulder tied to his side, that one. So I think he got that in the workouts, and for the match, Dale Scrivens arrived. He must have had a real trip. Did he go there by himself, find the right place to go?
Mm-hmm.
But the Olympic Committee paid for all of that, for our trip to New York, and then the Swedish and German athletic commissions paid for our trip overseas and back, and for all of our transportation and accommodations while we're on the trip.
Why don't we pause? Okay. What was your record in Europe when you wrestled? Do you remember what your one-loss record was?
Won them all.
Won them all.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The guy that I beat in the finals in Stockholm was the Olympic champion that was 36.
36.
And that was quite a little feather in my cap and a little thing to be proud of, because he seemed to be a real nice guy, and had a good match with him. Pinned
Did you? So you said you got along, or did you have a chance to interact with these wrestlers outside of the matches?
Yeah, we ride on the bus with them, but they couldn't tell us what we were telling, the jokes that we were telling, and we didn't know what the jokes that they were telling. We imagined that they were ridiculing us as well as we were trying to poke a little fun at them.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever it was, it didn't make anybody bad, because we never knew what anybody was saying.
So when you went there to wrestle, but what did you do when you were not wrestling? What other kinds of things would you have a chance to do?
Well, I think we drank a little beer.
Okay.
And we would go and see whatever kind of sights were available to see. But of course, we didn't drink the beer before we wrestled. That was break training type stuff.
Was there a coach traveling with you, or?
Yeah, his name was Peniel, Sal Peniel.
Okay.
And he was nothing more than a business manager. He wasn't a coach at all. But he took care of our needs and he was happy with us because we brought home some gold medals.
And you brought home one.
Yeah, I had mine.
Yeah. Okay. So you finish up in Europe. You say it was sponsored by the U.S. Olympic Committee. Part of your expenses.
Yes,
Did you hope maybe to try out for the next Olympics?
I did.
Okay.
I got to the finals in that, and I broke a leg, broke my ankle bone in a very fine match, and that was Henry Wittenberg. Is that his name? He won the 191 pound Olympic medal, but we were in the final match, and I had those crepe shoes on a plastic mat cover, and we were pushing and jumping, trying to figure out what we were going to do with one another. And doggone if I couldn't move my foot, and I turned it over and broke my ankle, and that wiped me out.
That was the end of that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you
Vern Gagne. Do you remember that name?
I sure do.
Okay. I had beaten Vern the night before to get to the finals, and he went in my place as a second place man, and I think he won the Greco-Roman at that weight. At the Olympics.
Okay.
Henry Wittenberg won the title for catch can, and I think Vern won the other title.
Well, you return to the United States. You're traveling with Joe McDaniel and Stanley Henson.
Yeah, and Dale was with us.
And Dale was with you. And so Stanley stayed with the group, right? He just didn't wrestle anymore.
No, he didn't wrestle.
But he stayed with the
group all the whole time because he was paid for.
Mm-hmm. And you say you stopped at the Naval Academy then?
On the way home from New York, we went through Annapolis, and that was really not out of the way. It's just an interesting place to go. None of us had ever seen the place before. And we pulled in there at about 2 o'clock in the morning and finally figured out where Ray Schwartz's address was. And we drove up into his driveway and started singing that OMC song. And he thought tried to call the police. He thought it was a bunch of fellas who'd had a tipsy a little bit out there. But when he finally got down and found out who it was, why, he invited us in, and we had the rest of the night. I don't think we ever went to sleep that night. But the next day, that's when he found us accommodations at the Naval Academy, because he wanted to spend some time while he figured out if any of us could be eligible for an appointment to the Naval Academy. None of us had even thought about going there. And at that time, in fact, we hadn't figured on spending more than one night in Annapolis to see Ray while we were on the way home. But little by little, things changed around, and we enjoyed every bit that we did. We were sold on that campus at Annapolis immediately. We couldn't imagine anybody being paid to go there. Well, being paid was sort of a misnomer too, because you never got to pay. You just got it listed to your name that you had a certain amount of money that was issued to you, and out of that amount that was issued, you bought uniforms and books or whatever it was that we had to have. That was their tuition. And so they would give it to you. You'd say, there it is, and then they put it over there and they'd spend it for you. So we didn't get much out of that pay right there, yeah. But we had a good time.
So you meet Ray Schwartz there at the Naval Academy in Annapolis. You have to return to Oklahoma though. That year, you go to OSU in '39. Then, because you still wrestle then.
That's what at the NCAA tournament.
NCAA tournament, you win your first
won my gold medal there.
your title there. Remember much about that tournament?
I remember that seemed to me that there's some big, big men I was wrestling. Gosh. A fellow named Toll, Toll. And gosh, I bet he was 6'4". And huge man. And of course, he was limited in his ability to maneuver, being that big and a little bit awkward. So I was able to dance around him a little bit and finally get him on the mat and finally got him pinned. Another guy I ran into one guy that weighed over 300 pounds. But boy, you talk about a tub. Now, he was a really fat man. I wasn't going to allow him to get on top of me, for sure. I had to be sure that I was not going to be down any leg tackles on that fellow. But again, once you got him on his back, he was unable to roll over. He just pinned himself, you might say. Little experiences like that.
But most of the men you wrestled were bigger than you, weren't they?
They outweighed me, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure did.
Was Coach Gallagher at that tournament then? In '39?
No, he wasn't. And yeah, he was there.
Yeah. Okay.
Sure.
You remember who else won titles that year?
Stanley won one and Joe won one.
Okay. And you won.
And I won.
Okay. Were you the three champions?
Uh-huh.
Okay. So you finish up at OSU at Stillwater, and you still got eligibility. So now you head to Annapolis.
Right.
Okay.
And because I wrestled on their freshman team without losing any eligibility, but I was pretty much an assistant coach instead of a participant. I was helping Ray coach the team, and I enjoyed that and got to know my fellow classmates pretty well.
And this was 1940, is when you're in Annapolis?
I went in 39. I went
in
39.
39. Okay. So you'd wrestled that spring at OSU.
Okay.
And then immediately you went then in
right.
the fall of 39 then to Annapolis.
Well, actually, I went to Annapolis in June.
Okay.
That's when you were inducted.
Okay.
If you passed all the tests, why you became a midshipman in June.
Okay. So June of 39 then you arrived.
Right.
Okay. So then how long were you at Annapolis?
3 years.
3 years.
They cut us, the academic, Pearl Harbor got us into the war, and then when we got in the war, why they wanted to get as many people in this out of the academy and into uniform as they could. So the academic curriculum was cut to 3 years instead of 4 years. So I caught up with one of the years I lost. When you enter the Naval Academy, you don't take your college credits with you. Everybody starts out on square one. And we had one boy who'd already graduated from MIT that went in my class there at the Naval Academy. And he was just like the rest of us. He'd go into those classes, of course, and dream while everybody else was sweating. But he did. He had to be a plebe like everyone else. And I never knew what happened to him after graduation. Didn't keep up with him, but.
So you're a plebe with the rest of them, even though you're 22 years old, almost. No, 20 years old.
20 years.
We've been 20 years old.
Yeah, I think if I'd have been 2 months older, I couldn't have. If I'd been born in January, for instance, I would not have qualified as age-wise to be a candidate.
But you were born in March or?
Born in April.
April, okay. April of 1919. So then you go 3 years at the academy. Did you and you wrestled? You had 1 year of eligibility wrestling.
You're right. Mm-hmm.
Did you compete in any other athletic teams then?
Football. They made me go to football. I told you that little story about how I got to the Naval Academy in the first place. Is that Ray Swartz had pulled the wool over somebody's eyes and told him I was a football player, and I'll never forget the time that I was comfortably ensconced in my little cubbyhole, and the upperclassmen came in and made me come to attention, do my push-ups and all the hazing stuff. Why aren't you out for football? And I said, well, I don't understand why I'm not out for football. I don't play football. He said, you're going to play football now. Get out there tomorrow. So I did. I went out, told the coach I was sent there to join the football team. The coach looked me over, and of course they had Neil. That's when they thought I was some sort of a comic, Had this reputation of being an all-American football player and didn't even know how to put on my pads. And finally I convinced them that I didn't know doodly squat about playing football. And so they said, well, we got to put you somewhere. I guess if you wrestle, you might be able to tackle, so we'll put you in as a linebacker. I said, that suits me. Just tell me what I have to do, when to do it, and I'll try to do my best. And I made a man. I played a pretty good linebacker, and I also was a blocking back, on the offense. Just run over somebody if you can, knock them out of the way. So it worked out pretty good.
So how many years did you play football then for the Naval Academy?
2.
2 years. All right. Pearl Harbor. We're in the war. What did you do during the war then?
I was assigned to a heavy cruiser, the USS Baltimore, and that was being built in Boston. And it was a new design. After we had lost all of our ships, our battleships, we had a lot of shipyards building naval vessels all up and down the East Coast, from Boston down to Norfolk to Philadelphia, wherever they could build a ship, or they were building ships of various kinds. And this particular one was a new design of cruiser. It was fast. It had a lot of anti-aircraft armament on it, and it was just a cruise ship as far as I'm concerned. I've been on my training vessels were the old battleships from World War I, and they were, of course, pretty, ancient. But you got the same kind of treatment. You had to learn what to do, when to do. And after I had been at sea for 2 years, I got a assignment back to the Naval Air Training and became a naval aviator. And that's where I was when the war was over.
The war was over. So were you in the Pacific Theater, or?
Well, I wasn't. I didn't get out to sea until they dropped the bomb.
Oh, okay.
And so the time I got to sea, the war was already over.
The war was over.
But I did get to Tokyo before. There was a place called Yokosuka, and that's where I was when my resignation was confirmed, and I was really enjoying doing my flying. And my skipper of the air group, he said, "Well, you're grounded." I said, "What do you mean I'm grounded?" He said, "Well, we've got this message here that you have resigned. So we can't let you fly the airplane now. You might go out and wreck one." So my flying career stopped right there.
Okay. So you're in the Navy, but you signed up for the Naval Air Corps, so you got to fly then for a year or two after the war. Then at the end of the war.
No, I was out. Yeah, about 1 year. About 1 year.
Okay. So you resign. You decide to do something
come
else.
back here and take up my father-in-law on becoming the family prodigy to run his business. He was unable.
Now, where did you meet your wife?
Here in Ardmore.
Here in Ardmore. Is this before you went to college or after?
Well, I met her my second year while I was at Stillwater.
Okay.
And she was not at Ardmore High School. She had gone down to Dallas to that Hockaday school. So, when I was, I guess, a chance meeting. One day I lived on the same street she did, but we hadn't met each other. And I was, I guess, mowing the family yard, and this girl and two girls came by the street riding horses, and one of them was one that I knew, and they stopped and visited. That's when I met my wife.
So when did you get married?
I got married in June of '42.
Okay. So this is after you went to the Naval Academy. You were at the Naval Academy already.
No, that's just the month after graduation.
Okay, you'd finished up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then got married. So where was she? Where were you stationed then? Was she able to be with you, or did she stay here?
My first duty was was to stay there in Annapolis and be one of the company officers for trading the incoming set of plebes. And that lasted for about 3 months. And then I was shifted and went to Boston to pick up my ship, which was still being completed. Hadn't been commissioned yet, but it was the next January before I went to sea.
Okay. So until then, you were able to be together.
Yeah.
With okay.
Right.
You resigned in Tokyo. Was she in Tokyo also?
No.
No. Okay.
It wasn't Tokyo. It was a naval base.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I was in the aircraft carrier, the Princeton, and we had pulled in there, and that's where my orders caught up with me.
That's where the orders caught up with you.
Yeah.
Okay, there. Okay. So then you resigned and you returned to Ardmore.
Right.
With her, and what did you do then?
Bought a house.
Bought a house.
Raised a family.
And you got a position. What occupation did you? Tell me about that again.
I was not assigned a job classification. I was simply working to learn what the business was about, so that I could run and manage the business at the proper time. It was a period of being a trainee. So that worked out pretty good.
How many people were in? Your father-in-law owned the business?
No, he was.
Or managed?
He owned. They had a partner. They had
Okay.
a 50-50 partnership.
Okay. So how many employees were there with the?
I think we had 20. Something like that.
And so you just started learning the.
Oh yeah, it wasn't a simple business.
Okay.
But it had to be. Somebody had to operate it, and I learned.
And how long did you do that?
35 years.
35 years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I became, in those 35 years, I was selected as the president of the Oklahoma Soft Drink Bottlers Association for one term, and I became the vice president of the Muskogee Coca-Cola Bottling Company, and later its president when the president died. And I was also on the board of directors for the Oklahoma Coca-Cola Bottling Company in Oklahoma City. So it didn't take too long to get situated in the management. So I guess one of the main things that I accomplished was to partnership to build the canning company that belongs to the Great Plains Bottling Company now in Oklahoma City. That was a soft drink canning company, which was a revolutionary idea because so we hadn't started using non-returnable packages worldwide or nationwide quite yet. But we built that nice facility. And
when was that? When was that built?
oh gosh, I have to check my books. I don't remember the date.
Okay.
Probably in maybe 75.
But before that, most things were in glass bottles.
Yeah.
And so people would return the bottles.
Right.
Um,
We had a spell in the industry of trying to get new packages. And we had the Coca-Cola plant here. This is digressing a little bit. We had the one bottle, that 6.5 bell-shaped bottle, and then we introduced a 12-ounce bottle to compete against our competitor, that other drink, and that was a heavy thing, golly. And then we went from there to a 10-ounce bottle. We abandoned that 12-ounce, went to the 10-ounce. Well, we still hadn't gone into plastic. And here comes somebody and decided, well, what we needed was to put our product in a 32-ounce, like a quart milk jar. And that thing was so heavy, the lady couldn't even pick it up and take it in. You had to, if she bought it at the grocery store, somebody had to carry it for her because it weighed too much. That was bombed. Didn't last very long. But then we began to find that you could put this product in a non-returnable tin can. And from there we got into the plastic, non-returnable. And then we finally made a non-returnable glass bottle, which is still on the market, still popular. You pay a pretty good premium if you want to drink out of that.
Now, your father-in-law had this bottling plant. What had your father done? What was his occupation?
That's all he ever did.
Your father? No,
Well, my father?
Your father.
My father was a merchant. He had a grocery meat market type thing. And in his, my early young years, why he was one of the rancher type people that's what you did during those. You didn't tell anything else. Well, you got a little place and some cattle, and that's what he did first. Then he went into and had a cotton gin, and that didn't last very long. It was good, I guess, while it lasted. I didn't know what it was, but it burned down on him, and he lost that. And then he went into meat market, where he raised his cattle and butchered them and put them on sale, and that's when he became a merchant.
And that kind of grew into a grocery store.
Yeah, and then later on he got out of that and went into selling air conditioning stuff. So he bounced around a little bit, one thing to another. He was able to put us through college, though. I had a brother and a sister who also.
Your youngest, oldest? What's the?
I was in the middle.
You're in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Did you ever have a chance to return to OSU since you left to attend reunions of any kind? Or
Not reunions. I've always gone to the wrestling programs that they had for former wrestlers, and that would be once a year. We do that. I kept up with that for quite a while, and they elected me president of that group for 1 year, and that's about all. I don't even remember what year that was.
Okay. Well, now at some point in time, you got involved with the National Wrestling Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
Joe and Stanley had become members, been selected to the Wrestling Hall of Fame, and my name was going to be submitted to be one of the members of the Wrestling Hall of Fame. And I went to talk to the people up there, and they made it pretty clear that I would have to put up quite a bit of money. In other words, you had to buy your way in.
Hmm.
And I said, well, that's not right. If I can't earn it, I don't want the same old thing about crawling off the mat. I didn't see any point. But then I gave them a donation to the Board of Governors, and they rewarded me with that by putting my name down as a member of the advisory board, which is a good title, but nothing to do. And that's why I'm associated there. Of course, I got my name on the plaque for the winner of 1939 NCAA tournament. But that's, I really am not in the class with those other fellows as far as having that honor.
Well, I knew you had a connection with the Wrestling Hall of Fame, and I wasn't quite sure what it was. So thank you for clarifying that. Do you have any special memories of your time at OSU? Activities? Nothing special.
No.
Did you attend most athletic events when you were there? Did you go to most of the basketball games and football games? I guess you were gone. I guess you were gone for the fall semester.
Never was there in the fall.
So
now I had thoughts of trying out for the track team, but I hadn't had any prior experience at throwing the discus or the javelin or in the field events. And I wasn't fast enough to go into the track, and I could run a long ways if it took a lot. You didn't mind how long it took you. But I wasn't fast enough to do anything else.
Well, looking back on your life and experiences, what lessons would you like to share of things you've learned or things you'd like for us to learn?
Well, I think that I might have already talked about ethics of what you do what you do in your own mind is right or wrong as to what ethics really are. And I learned a lesson about that crawling off the mat, for instance. And then I learned a lesson about the power of money in athletics, which is a very, very strong element. Little things like that, but I don't know that any of that was advantageous. It's just something that you learn.
Anything from your childhood, growing up, that you kind of took with you? Things your parents taught you, or?
All I can remember about my childhood is that I loved to tussle. That I could just take care of nearly anybody that was my contemporary, if we got in a tussle, I could throw him down. And my brother was 2 years older, and he would, bless his heart, he would take out his frustrations by bopping me around with his fists, and I couldn't handle him because I closed my eyes, and all he had to do was hit me right on the end of my nose, and the fight was over. My nose was beat. But as we grew older, I finally learned that if I could corner him long enough to get my hands on him, that'd take care of those fists. And so one day we were alone and at home, and he got, as usually, he was going to tease me a little bit and thump me a little bit, and I caught him, and kind of gave him a little lesson. And from that point on, we got along so good that I was when people would team up on the schoolyard, as they often did, against you or for somebody or against somebody, and you normally would take sides. If my brother got in a jam, I'd always go to help him out. And I think he began to appreciate that, because we could take care of most of the guys between the way he handled his fists, little scraps on the schoolyard. I don't know if you ever got into those or not, but I thought nearly everybody did. But that was one of the one things that I remember is that as far as taking to wrestling, it seemed to come naturally. And that to me was fortunate.
Were you always one of the bigger kids in your grade, or?
Yeah, I was fat.
You were fat?
Really roly-poly. I didn't gain any height until I got to the 10th grade, and by the time I had graduated in the 12th grade, I'd gained 3 inches in height, and I'd lost a lot of my tubbiness, and was really ready to go to college.
How tall were you when you?
I got to be 6'1".
6'1".
I've shrunk now. I'm back down to about 6 feet, or 5 feet 11, or a little less than that.
But someone 6'1", 190 pounds was a good sized man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was strong enough.
Yeah.
Didn't seem to me at the time that I was that big, but of course, that's, if you look at what they're doing out there now on the football field, boy, those kids they're 6 feet tall and weigh 190 pounds, and they run that 43 seconds. I like to watch the linebackers when they're playing football. Boy, they can hit up there and get into that crease in the line just so quick that makes me wonder how in the world anybody's able to do it. So, yeah, I was big.
Jerry, is there anything you can think of that we haven't covered?
No, I think you did a good job.
Well, thank you very much, John. I appreciated meeting you. I
Well, it's
appreciated your
been a
time with
pleasure
us.
to have you visit. I'm still wondering what in the world all of this is worthwhile to you. But
Well, it's
I'm
meaningful.
glad you found that good, because I like to have company.
It's meaningful to us, so we appreciate your time.
All right, good.